thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come and share some knowledge. Again, my name is Patrick Brandon. I have a YouTube channel, so if you guys would love to subscribe, I would be very honored if you could do that. It's called In the Garden with Patrick. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about today is amending the soil. So this is a great time during the year where you can amend your soil, and depending on what you're going to be doing for the year. So if you're not going to even plant anything for the year, you still want to try to amend the soil. So if you think about, the key to good plants or happy plants are good soil. So you want stronger plants. It starts with a healthy soil. So the most important thing is that we put organic matter into our gardens. So whatever you're going to use, you want to try to make sure that it's as organic as possible. And you want to feed the soil, because every year when you plant something in there, what it does, the plants take the nutrients out of the soil. So you want to replenish that. And there's various ways of doing that. So we're going to amend the soil. I'm going to show you a couple of different examples of how I do it. Again, there's many different methods or whatever, but this is pretty simple. So when you're in the fall, it's great because you have literally about 7 months for your organic matter to break down. So if you're not going to plant right now, you're going to be able to put at least something in, and then it breaks down over that 7 months. So why is it important that we amend the soil? Again, as I mentioned, think about it along the lines of people when we eat, right? So sometimes if you don't eat a very healthy diet, that can also lead to illness and sickness. So sometimes we have supplements, that kind of thing. But if we eat really good food, hopefully you're eating things that are in your garden, then you're going to have a healthy plant and you're going to be healthy also. So sometimes we have to get that nutrition and I would recommend too, if you're a new gardener, that you use maybe some kind of a soil test to see what type of materials are in your garden soil. But again, that's totally up to you. I think at the Texas A&M Annex, it's like $12 or something for the basic test. So it's a really good thing to do. So sometimes with the raised beds, you don't really need to worry about so much. But when you're just gardening in your backyard, sometimes the soil is it's clay or it's hard, depending on what part of the country you're in or what part of the city that you're in. So that's one of the things that you would want to try to do, why you want to amend your soil. So we're going to talk about a couple of things, about the top 4 things that I think about when I want to build a healthy soil, okay? So the first one is a really fancy word. It's called dynamic accumulators. So what that basically means is that plants and they gather the materials from the air. So they'll take nutrition or the nitrogen from the air and they put it into into the plant. And then that's one of those things that what we talk about is you can take your plant and it takes it from the ground and into from the air and into the ground, and then you can chop that up, and then you could leave that either on your bed or you can put that in your composter or something like that. We call it chop and drop. So you can use that as a mulch. Sometimes like the daikon radish, it'll take the roots and it goes really, really deep. So if you think of your soil in 2 levels, most of us, when we garden in the top maybe 6 inches or so, 6 to 8 inches. The daikon radishes can go deeper and they'll pull those nutrients up from the ground and into the plant. And then again, you could either chop those up or put them in your composter and it pulls those nutrients. So that's another healthier way to do that. Another lamb's quarters is another one that's good as a dynamic accumulator. Daikon radish, common needle, and comfrey. So those are some different things that you can do. The second thing is something that we should all be doing, and we have the dirty girls here, the composters, is composting. So if you're not composting, I want to encourage you to really start composting. It's really easy. You don't have to have anything fancy. I have some videos that I put up that it's really simple to do that in your backyard. So composting is great. You can take your compost and you can make a tea and you can water your plants, your indoor plants and your outdoor plants. So that's another thing that you can do. And again, when you're composting, there's basically 4 things that you're going to use. You're going to use your green materials, you're going to use a brown material, and then water and air. That's pretty much it. So when I do my composting, I'll use this green grass here, and I'll use different things. Like I have paper here. This is just shredded paper from my office. And what you one thing about the paper, sometimes people would ask, the ink that is used in the paper nowadays, or in either in the newspaper or just on your printers and things, that ink is safe to eat, if you will. So it'll break down, but the point is sometimes people think that that's poisonous, but you can use that. And then after several months, then you get something like this, which is your compost. So we'll show you how I'm going to use that when I amend the soil. And then, of course, mulching. Mulching is very important when you're trying to build your soil, because it keeps the soil nice and moist, and keeps the nutrition in, and it doesn't allow the sun, especially here in El Paso, it doesn't allow that sun to just dry that up. So that's another way to build your soil, keep it nice and healthy. And of course, it keeps the weeds out too, right? So we don't want to have weeds. In the seed exchange that we're doing today, we have some cover crops, right? So cover crops are awesome because if you're not planning on planting anything for the fall, you still want to maybe throw some of these cover crop seeds on your soil, and they grow. They, again, will add nutrition. Some of them will add nitrogen into your garden bed, and then you basically just chop those off. You can either, again, put them in your composter or dig it up and let it for the next 7 months or 6 or 7 months to break down, and that's another great way of amending or building your strong soil. So when you're let's go ahead and get into the how we're going to do this real quick. So what I usually do, and this is my garden bed, the first time that I'm going to be using this garden bed here. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a combination of a lot of different stuff. So when I do this, it's a little windy, but we'll kind of go through the stuff that I have here. Not necessarily in this order either. So what I'll usually do is I'll use some kind of an organic fertilizer, and I'll put some of that. Now you can use it. You can just use something that has the same type of N, P, and K. So you don't want something that's got a lot of N and a little P and a little K. So 555 or something like this. Again, if you subscribe to the channel, you'll see a couple of the videos. One video or one topic is about all of these fertilizers. Okay, so I bought this on sale at a local store, and this is organic gardening citrus. Okay, but again, it's all the same. And this huge bag was like $8 or something like that, right? And the NPK for the citrus, okay, is specifically 526. Well, if you look at some of the other stuff, tomatoes, right? It's maybe 555 or something like that. So it really, this is just all packaging, so you don't really have to worry about that so much. And then I have my compost here. So what I'll usually do, and again, you don't have to measure this out, but I'll kind of show you a little live demonstration here what I do. And so I just take some compost, and I'll put that right here. Okay, and then again, I'll put more of it usually, but it just for the demonstration purposes. And again, that's my homemade compost. I also have leaves, so we all have a lot of leaves in our garden, right? So I chopped up the leaves, and then I just take the leaves. So this is going to be my brown material, okay? And I take some leaves, and we put that also in the soil. And then I'll take some paper, some of this shredded paper, and put that in there. This is a great addition to your garden also, worm castings. So you might want to invest in something like this. And again, I just kind of spread this along the top. Okay, so we'll just put a little row of that there, just so you can see that. And then if you need to, you can just buy some soil. This is the simple and easiest way to do it. Just buy some soil, put that in your raised bed. But again, with the exception of this, all of this is free. So I'm not paying for anything to amend my soil. So then I have my grass, and I'll put the grass here. And again, you can use your grass as a mulch also, just so you can put that on the top too. That adds nutrients. And then I'll take some of this fertilizer, and then I'll put the fertilizer again in there. And then once you're done with all of that, you just pretty much just take a hoe or take something. You could use a trowel depending on how small it is, and you just pretty much put it all together and mix it all up. You want to make sure that you water it. So I'm not going to mix this up as well. We'll do that at the end here. I'll show you the final product. And that's pretty much it as far as how you're going to amend your soil. And it's really simple. I have also some straw that a local friend of mine has a ranch, and so they gave me some straw. This I'll use as a mulch, usually on the top of my bed, or sometimes, again, if I'm not going to do anything with this year, then I might just take this and put this in and put it into the ground so that it will break down over that 6 or 7 months. So any questions or anything for me?